Oh my gosh, this is so freaking important. Do not do this. For the love of goodness, do not say this. Do. Hello, welcome. So I wanted to make this video for a very long time, and I was scared to, and I wrote stuff that I was gonna talk about, and I even started filming some of it, but then I chickened out. I apologize for the messy hair, the dark room, the bad lighting. I just did like 8 hours of homework, and it is the middle of the night. So, yeah, sorry. I was diagnosed with PTSD when I was 14 years old, and when I first heard that, I was pretty ashamed, and I didn't actually tell anybody about it for at least a couple years. And then after that, I only told like one or two people. And even now, I don't talk about it a lot, but I have gotten better at just like answering questions or like mentioning it to people if it is relevant. And just a disclaimer, I obviously am not a mental health professional. I am in nursing school, and we did learn about PTSD in abnormal psych, but obviously like I'm not a therapist. So anything that I say is from my personal experience or what I've learned, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a general blanket statement for anyone suffering with PTSD. Everyone's situation is different. Everyone has different factors affecting them. So it really depends on the person. And if you're unsure, you should ask somebody. I want this video to be more about how you can help someone that you know who is suffering from PTSD, or how you can just make a more comfortable and safe environment. Because at the end of the day, I do believe that people want to help others, and if you know how to do that, it will be so much easier. Some real quick statistics about PTSD. About 7 or 8 in every 100 adults, so like 7 or 8% of people will experience some form of PTSD in their lifetime, which means that chances are you do know somebody who is suffering from PTSD or has suffered from PTSD. It does affect women more than men, and about 8 million adults in the United States are suffering from PTSD in any given year. All right, so let's get into it. Number 1, it's not like the movies. I feel like most people only know about PTSD from some depiction in a movie, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, just because there isn't really much out there about PTSD. And while a lot of people who have PTSD are veterans, that's definitely not the only way you can get PTSD. You can get PTSD from a lot of things. The reality is that a lot of times it's very subtle. A lot of people with PTSD are very functional, and they live right along with the rest of us, and a lot of times you'll never know. Obviously, everyone's experience is different. We're not all like that. So you might be asking, oh my gosh, I want to help, but I don't know how. Well, I'm very, very glad that you want to help, and I'm here to tell you how you can do that. So one thing you can do is ask if someone is okay with something. This might seem like not a big deal, but I can tell you now that I appreciate it so much.
Hello, Editing Joe here. The reason for this is because PTSD has a lot to do with feeling out of control. Your brain immediately goes back to the situation where you lost control, even if you're not there now. Asking for permission for even seemingly basic things gives a person a sense of control and helps them regain their sense of security.
Like, for example, if I'm about to say goodbye to somebody and they ask me, can I give you a hug, before they actually do, it means a lot. Especially if I'm new around that person, it makes me trust them more, and it makes me realize that they are a person who cares, and it just really helps. If your friend or whoever you know with PTSD has shared with you what some of their triggers are, then you can help keep them away from those things. For example, if you can tell that they're about to be exposed to one of their triggers, you can take concrete steps to make sure that that doesn't happen or help get them out of that situation. If they've already been exposed to one of their triggers and you realize, giving somebody an out helps a lot too. For example, if you realize that someone's being exposed to a trigger and you say something like, hey, want to go for a walk? Or do you want to step outside with me? Or even something like, here, come help me with this. Something to get them out of that situation that's subtle and doesn't cause a big commotion can be so helpful. And I know people have done that for me in situations, and I'm very, very grateful to them. It is a very real mental illness. I know that might seem obvious. If you're watching this video, you probably already know, but a lot of people seem to forget. It's not just something you can get over. There is a scientific neurological explanation for why people get PTSD. And it's not just because they keep thinking about something that happened before. It is something that has to do with literal chemicals in your brain that you cannot control. Time does not heal all wounds. While some people do get better over time, that doesn't hold true for everyone. Everyone's case is different. Sometimes it even gets worse over time. It just depends on a lot of things, and you never know what someone is feeling like. People have ups and downs. Just like with other illnesses, there are good days and there are bad days. Sometimes there are good weeks. Sometimes there are good months. Sometimes there are good years even. And vice versa, there are bad times too. Just because someone is not obviously having a bad time doesn't mean that they don't have PTSD, and it doesn't make their experience any less valid than someone who is very clearly suffering. Everyone is different, and everyone just needs different kinds and levels of support. Something that is very obvious, but a lot of people still do, is don't joke about it. I realize using the word or the acronym PTSD is very common. I've heard so many people be like, wow, that gave me PTSD. And I'm just going to be super real with you. I know that it's very common to say that. And when I hear someone say that, it hurts. Like, there's just no other way to put it. There's no simpler way to put it except that it hurts because it diminishes the experiences that I've had and that other people have had. And it turns something that has caused so much pain to me and people around me and has had a destructive effect on my life, and it turns it into just a phrase you say to get attention or a phrase you say to make a point. That being said, I do realize that it's very common to say that, and I realize that most people who say that don't mean any harm. So if you do say that, right now, if you have been saying that, I just want you to know that I don't blame you and I wouldn't hold it against you, because I realize that you probably just don't know how much it hurts, and you probably just don't know what kind of effect it can have. But I'm telling you now that it does have an effect and it does hurt. So from now on, I would appreciate it so, so much if you did your best to start cutting that phrase out of your everyday language and call other people out on it too. And I know sometimes it can be weird and stuff, but just know that if you do that, if there is someone who has PTSD and they don't have to be the ones to call them out, it means a lot. It really does. Even if it's small, even if you don't get a physical thank you, I'm telling you now, thank you for doing that. And the number one thing, the thing that I want you to remember the most out of everything I've said, oh my gosh, this is so freaking important. Do not do this. For the love of goodness, do not say this. Do not ask somebody why they have PTSD. This, don't do it. Just don't do it, okay? I realize that sometimes it can come up in a casual way, or sometimes like someone will have to tell you, not necessarily because they want to share with you, but they just have to, and they're like, tell you that they have PTSD. Do not ask them why they have PTSD. This has happened so many times to me. Don't do it. I understand that that question might come out of like a place of care and concern, but honestly, if it's out of your own curiosity, which a lot of times it is, that just really hurts. And think about it. This person has had something happen, right? And they have had to go through months, potentially years of hell to deal with it. And that means that they don't want to talk about it. If they do want to talk about it, that is completely up to them, and they are free to share what they want, when they want, but that is something that they should do on their terms, and you can't pull it out of somebody. Especially if it's in a casual setting, do not ask them why. They don't want to think about it, and if you ask them, you will make them think about it, and it will give them anxiety, and it will make everything stressful. So just don't do it. I understand it's like a casual question to ask, like, or it makes sense logically in the conversation, like, I have PTSD. Oh, why? Don't do it. Don't do it. Please, for the love of goodness, do not do it. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I really hope that this video can at least help one person, or at least help you help one person. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all. Have a good day or good night. Be nice to yourself, and I will see you all later. Bye.